Welcome back to the channel, The Real Ish. In this video, I'm going to talk about two horror movies from the past, very popular movies that, in my opinion, they just don't make as much sense as I thought back when I was younger. Alright, let's jump right into this video. The first movie that I'm going to talk about is I Know What You Did Last Summer. Alright, I watched this movie countless times throughout my life, and it's something about when you watch a movie again when you're older versus when you're a teenager or a kid or whatever, and some things just doesn't seem to make sense. Alright, so we all know what I Know What You Did Last Summer is about. Alright, I've talked about it on the channel before. After running over a fisherman and dumping his body into the water for friends, they convene when Julie receives a frightening letter that their crime was seen. While pursuing who he thinks is responsible for the letter, Barry is run over by a man with a meat hook. The bloodletting only increases from there as the killer with the hook continues to stalk Julie, Helen, and Ray. Alright, so that's I Know What You Did Last Summer. The movie made a lot more sense back when I was younger, but I'm not the only one confused about it. My friend is confused when we watched the movie recently. People on Reddit are confused. Alright, so back in the day when I saw this movie, I always thought, we know the killer is Ben Willis. That's the fisherman that they thought they hit. That's who I thought they hit. But looking it up after I watched it, they're saying we don't know if Ben Willis was hit or somebody named David Egan. They show a boy at the beginning of the movie sitting off a cliff. He was drinking, so that's David Egan. Did they hit him or the Ben Willis? It's confusing. Someone on Reddit is confused also. They say, can someone explain I Know What You Did Last Summer to me like I'm 5. They said I still don't understand who they hit and if they survived. This whole movie is about who they hit and this person getting revenge on them. So for us to be confused 20 something years later is very crazy. That person continues to say, and who David Egan is in all of this, and Ben Willis. It's been a while since I watched, so maybe now I'm older and wiser, I get it. But can someone give me an understanding ahead of my rewatch? So someone replied and said David Egan is a random kid that caused the accident that killed Ben Willis's daughter. The person explaining said they actually misremembered that. I think he was drunk and found still at the scene of the accident. They're not even sure. After a year after that, Ben takes revenge on him, doing the whole I Know What You Did Last Summer thing on him and then dumping him off of a cliff. On the night this murder happens, the main kids, Jennifer Love Hewitt and them, they're driving around their car and hit Ben, who just pushed David off of the cliff. So he is trying to get revenge for this David kid who I guess was his daughter's boyfriend, and he felt like he was responsible for his daughter's death because she was in a car with him and they had an accident. I don't know. Said he is not dead and decided to take revenge on them. They thought whoever they hit was dead because in the movie they throw him, put him in the car, drive him to the end of the dock, and put him in the water. Make sure he doesn't get back up. They said if they driven off, they might have got away with it. This is something I also don't understand. Like, why would everybody go along with this? Just like Julie said, all you had to do was call cops. It was an accident. The dude was in the middle of the street. Like, end of the movie. But everybody agrees to keep this a secret. It just doesn't make sense. Yep, somebody says, yes, they hit Ben, but I think they initially believed it was David Egan. They visit his relative, his sister, and she gives them some background on David. I was always confused too. They're confused. Like, someone else said, again, David Egan was the boyfriend of Ben Willis's daughter. They were in a car accident where he survived, but she died. On the anniversary of the accident, David was drinking and grieving up on the cliff near where the accident happened, and he likely was also contemplating. Ben found him up there, killed him in revenge, and threw his body into the sea, where eventually it would wash ashore and be found, causing the foursome to mistake David for the one they hit. Ben then was making his way back home on foot from the scene of his crime when the foursome hit him with their car, thought he was dead, and tossed him into the sea. Of course, he is not dead and comes after them a year later. So if that is true, I don't understand why he's mad that they hit him when he just killed someone. Make it make sense. I don't know. People are still confused. Someone said, so where was David's body? How did Ben get hit? They said David's body washes up on shore and Ben got hit after disposing of David's body via throwing him off the cliff. It's just confusing. So this is another thing. Helen Shivers, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, her character was doing pageants and stuff like that, and something that was brought to my attention when I rewatched it, it's like, how could the killer kill Barry? He was up there watching her at some pageant thing or whatever. She was sitting on stage with other people. Barry's up there and the killer kills him. No one sees anything. No blood. She's yelling out, screaming, telling people that it's the killer there. He's gonna kill me. The police find nothing. How did the killer find time to clean this up? Like, that's, I don't know. I might be looking too much into it, but it just, I don't know. And then some like reviews about the movie, and this is one from a site called Loud and Clear. Let's talk about movies. They gave it a 3. This was published this year. They were talking about the killings, and they said this movie is for it to be like considered a slasher. It really didn't show much. It didn't. When I rewatched this recently, I was like, why can't we see the kills? Like, why can't, it's dark, it goes dark or goes off screen when the fisherman kills them. And this person says, for being the film that revitalized the slasher genre, I Know What You Did Last Summer doesn't boast much in terms of scares or creative kills either. There's one pretty creepy visual involving a car, but most of the time the film resorts to shadows in the background or sudden jump scare for its scary moments. The actual murders are surprisingly tame. At times it feels like this could pass for a PG-13 film instead of rated R. I suppose there's only so much a guy with a hook can do, but still, if the movie can't be properly suspenseful, it could at least show entertaining splashes of blood. Alright. The thing that gets me with scary movies, and this movie too in particular, is like, how does this fisherman know where they're gonna be at all times? One time, Helen was in the back of the police car after, I think, what happened at the thing with Barry getting killed. I think the policeman took her home. She was in the back of the police car. Then some road was closed. The policeman had to go down in an alley. When he did, it was a man under the car, under the hood of a car, like he was looking. That was a fisherman. How did you know that the cop was gonna have to take another route? Like, it's like they're always a step ahead, but it doesn't make sense to me. Here are some plot holes or mistakes from this movie. It's a long list of them, so I'm only gonna read a few. Like I mentioned already, it says Barry gets killed violently at the pageant, so obviously there should be blood everywhere. When the police go up to the crime scene, they find nothing. There's no way the killer had time to clean up anything, let alone drag away Barry's body without someone seeing him, and the blood started dripping after police leave the scene. How? Continue to mistake. After Barry jumped into the water, reclaimed the crown, he comes out of the water with a perfectly clean shirt, but in the next shot, the blood is back in his shirt as expected. Here's the mistake. Max lies dead in Julie's car covered in crabs. Yeah, he was in the back of her trunk. He was hooked very deep under his chin, yet when you see him, the wound is gone. And how did the killer manage to put him in her car, no one knowing, seeing? Then when she goes to tell someone about it, open the trunk, the body's gone. No one sees it. It's broad daylight. Nothing. I thought about this same one. After Barry went to the hospital, they're all in his room talking loud as crap about this murder. And they said if you look, they say his room door is open. So they said, so no one heard them talking about these murders. I mean, I was thinking that when I rewatched it. I don't know. I tried to find more plot holes and more opinions on the movie, but that's my main thing of the beginning. And is Ben Willis actually this killer or not? It's quite confusing. It says the ending is confusing. The ending of the 1997 film is confusing and doesn't make sense to a lot of viewers. One of the characters, Ray, who was thought to have been killed in the film, is actually revealed to be alive at the end. I just don't get it. I don't get it. And in this 1997 original, Freddie Prinze Jr., he played Ray. He was missing quite a bit in the movie. Most of the scenes you just see Julie, Helen, and Barry. Where's Ray? In the new one, the remake, that was totally awful. They made Ray the killer. Didn't make sense. In this first one, they had a bunch of clues, like leading up to him being the killer, and he wasn't. For instance, when Julie went to go talk to the guy David Egan's sister, she said somebody already came and talked to her named Billy Blue. Later on in the movie, Ray pops up out of nowhere, haven't seen him for scenes, and she's talking about going, blah, 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 and then she realizes the boat he's on is named Billy Blue. There's no explanation about it until much later, and he says, oh yeah, I went to go talk to his sister as Billy Blue, but I just feel like it wasn't explained enough. Why didn't we see him go talk to the sister? Why couldn't we see him go talk to the sister, Ray? I don't know, what were they trying to do with that? Like, it's really weird, but that's it for that one. Let's jump into the next one, Scream 2. Alright, so I watched Scream 2 also. As I stated before in recent videos, Scream 1 should have been just one and done, that's it. It should have just been that one and that's it. So you see Jada Pinkett and Omar Epps, the opening are them at the movie theater, and everybody's there to see Stab, based on what happened, which I don't understand, because if this is something real, why would people be dressed up as this killer who killed people for real? I don't get it. I hate when they do movies inside of a movie, but that's a whole nother thing. That's who is in the beginning of this, and they're together, and then she goes to get something. She comes back and he's out there trying to scare her with the mask on, blah, blah, blah. I don't get how he goes to the bathroom after all that. She goes back to the movie. He is in the stall listening to something. He hears something. He's putting his ear up to the door. The killer stabs him through there. How would that go through that? What is that made of? I don't know. How would he know that he was going to listen? Then the killer goes back as him, takes his jacket, puts it on, sits by Jada Pinkett. I don't know her character name. I forgot. Maureen or something. That doesn't sound like her name. Sits there. She's talking to him. She's like, you don't think it's weird? Why would he come back in there with the mask on after he already scared you one time? She doesn't realize anything until she sees the blood. But my point is, the killer in Scream 2 is Billy Loomis's mother, Nancy Loomis, and Mickey, I don't know how you say his name, a film student, and he was Cindy's friend. Why? I don't know who it was, but one of them had to have killed those two in the beginning, correct? But why? I'll tell you why. I'll get to that. Alright, so on Reddit, someone says a plot point I still don't understand from Scream 2. I was just rewatching the series, and they said I remember a plot point in Scream in part 2 that still doesn't make sense. I don't understand the purpose of. After the first 3 murders, Gail manages to figure out that they all share the names with victims from the original killing spree: Maureen, Steven, and Casey. They made it seem like it was going to be built up as a part of the central mystery, but right after this scene, it's never brought up again, and the pattern is broken with Randy's death. Was there ever an explanation given to why bother including it at all? No, I guess it wasn't. So someone said Mickey, that's the guy, the other killer, he thinks the plan is to blame Hollywood, so referencing the original murders doesn't make sense for him. But Debbie, she wants revenge to taunt and terrorize the woman who killed her son. But let me stop you there. Why would Billy Loomis' mother want revenge for her son? Because I thought that he stated his mother had ran out on his dad and left him. So I'm not understanding. These two killers just, it makes no sense. It says Miss Loomis was motivated by revenge for her son Billy. She orchestrated the events to kill Sydney. Mickey was motivated by desire for fame and to create a spectacle. He wanted to create a real life horror sequel. Alright, so I found something that said plot holes. This is from 2019 from something said Bulb app. Cindy and Hallie climb out of the car and Sydney goes back to the car. As we know, the killer escaped the car, but it doesn't make sense. It's how he got behind them. He comes out behind a crate and killed Hallie. But for him to be able to get there, he would have had to cross paths with them. Third, the scene at the end after Derek is killed, Derek's head changes placement a few times as he is hanging dead. And I don't understand why Billy's mother would want revenge for her son's death when he was going around killing people himself. Why is she after Sydney? Sydney isn't really to blame here. She's a victim. So it says his mom is unwilling to accept that Billy was the mastermind behind the murders. Instead, she sees him as a victim whose world was destroyed by Sydney's mother and ultimately by Sydney. Because Billy did that to Sydney because saying her mother slept with his father, called her mother all kind of names, so that's why he wanted to get back. And I guess because his mother leaving, but his mother was already gone, so she comes back. Where did she heard it from who about his death? So it says right here, Jada Pinkett and Omar Epps' characters, their names were Maureen Evans and Omar Epps. His name was Phil Stevens. They were killed and screened to as a way to start the new murder spree in Windsor College, mirroring the opening of the first film by killing them in a movie theater at the premiere of the film about the Woodsboro massacre. The film establishes that the violence has started again and the characters are no longer safe. Somebody on Reddit said, what was the motive of killing Jada Pinkett Smith and Screen 2? She wasn't tied to Sydney. Was it to get more press coverage? She's a random murder. Somebody said because her first name was Maureen. That's Sydney's mother's name. They started by copying names of the people who died. Maureen, Phil Stevens, Casey Cooper. So it says they were doing copycat murders in terms of the names. That makes no sense. Somebody said, did you even see the movie? Because it's literally explained halfway through. But just because it was explained halfway through doesn't mean it makes sense. People really think this was a good, I don't know. I honestly don't think it was explained halfway through because I watched it recently and I'm still asking questions. So I think that person's question is pretty logical. I don't know. That's it though. I can't continue to go on and on about this. I just wanted to touch on these two movies and that, you know, a couple things that I just didn't get and I didn't understand. And I know some people are going to be like, this is why, did you watch it, did you get it, this is clearly why. Like, I still don't get it. Even if you try to explain it to me, I don't get it. But anyway, like this video, make sure you subscribe if you're new. Feel free to comment if you want. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to agree with you, but we can disagree to agree. It doesn't matter. But thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. God bless.